make him slip from his true self. She knows his self is mature. Now the other thing, Ramadan to also make someone slip. Let's understand that meaning. You see, Allah created the human being with a multiple, like there's a lot of volcanoes inside of us. There are lots of emotions inside of us. There's also this incredible mind that Allah has given us that can learn the truth. If it were not for this mind, we would not be appreciating the word of Allah. We would not be followers of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That wouldn't happen if we weren't people of thought. We wouldn't understand our purpose in life if we didn't have this incredible mind. But we're not just robots who think. We also have very strong emotions. Anger is a very strong emotion. Jealousy is a very strong emotion. Temptations are very strong emotions. Desire for the opposite gender is a very strong emotion. Having feelings towards someone is not a joke. It can take over your mind. You can't think about anything else. All you think about is this person. And it's really easy now because now their pictures are all over Facebook and they don't even know, but you're a stalker. And you've got their picture on the background, you're looking at it every 2 minutes and you just, it just runs your mind all the time. It's like you're running out of gas, you're running out of air if you don't see their picture, or you don't talk to them, or you don't message them, or you don't hear something from them. And this can become something really overwhelming. The married people here have no idea what I'm talking about. And that's okay. But anyway, but that can happen. And especially in what years? Teenage years. You go crazy, man. Your mind runs wild. If you're from India, Pakistan, you are like, there's an entire Indian movie playing in your head. You are running around trees and everything. Like you're just, the whole 9 yards. This is not a small thing. And you know why I'm telling you this? Because it makes you forget who you really are. There's a dignified human being, a thoughtful human being, a purposeful human being who's supposed to be accomplishing great things in life. But when this one temptation takes you over, it takes you away from who you really are, and you just don't accomplish anything in life, and you're just this lost creature who's addicted like a drug to this person or to this desire. You're addicted to it, and it's taken away from all of your productivity, all of the goodness that you have. And when it gets really bad, it actually, not only is it a thought, it actually turns you into an animal. It just turns you into an animal. That desire becomes so strong that all you want to do is fulfill that urge. That urge is just, that's all you think about, that's all you crave, that's all you're lusting for. You're just, completely deprived of it, and you just want it more than anything else, and that's it. That's all there is to it. You don't think about the consequences. You don't think about the other person. You don't think about the girl's family, or you don't think about her dignity. You don't think about anything. You just think about your hormones, and that's it. Just an animal. Like an animal, when a bird sees another bird and says, hey, it does not say, oh, maybe we should propose first, or not. No, it just goes for it. There is no process. You just turn into an animal. The chase is on. And that can happen to a man, and it can happen, in extreme cases, even to a woman. This is serious business. You have to put measures in place. That's why hukum is necessary. Having firm decision is necessary. You can learn the tafsir of Sura Yousuf and still get messed up. And still just completely fall obsessed with some girl, guys here, or you with a guy. It could happen. And nobody knows about it. It's all in your head. You've already married him in your head. It's already happened. Nobody else knows. And you're like 15 years old, but and you're scared to talk about it. We should be able to talk about our feelings, and our parents, please be able to. We're living in the US, guys. It's an overly sexualized society. Children are exposed to sexual images at a young age. The statistics are overwhelming. They're overwhelming. We cannot be in denial of that reality. We have to be able to talk to our kids in a safe environment about these things and be able to help them work through these emotions, because these emotions are not a joke. If they were that, you don't like to remember what you were like when you were 15, 16, 17, and 18 years old. You don't like to remember, but if you do, you'll understand what they're going through. You have to remind yourself of what you went through. And I love those of you that come up with fictional versions of your teenage years. When I was young, I didn't even know what woman meant. No, that's not true. That is not true. So you can't do that. You have to be realistic. And you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be honest with your children, inshallah. May Allah help us, give us the strength to be able to do that. So she says, she says, come over here. Young man, beautiful woman. Doors are all closed. You're supposed to do what she wants anyway. Nobody's gonna find out. And you've reached the most intense hormonal age you'll ever reach. Yusuf alayhi salam is a man. He's not an angel. He's a man. He's a prophet, but he's a man. And then at that age, I tell you, if you've studied teen psychology, scary business. The scene is, I mean, if this was a scene in a movie, you'd have to, who's watching? You'd have to press pause and say, can we watch this? As soon as you get to the part where she says, "Hey, talak," you're like, ooh! Kids, leave the room. He says, "Ma'ad Allah. I seek a place where I can find Allah's refuge. I need to get away." He realizes, now the only one who can help me is Allah. إِنَّهُ رَبِّي أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَايَ. My master has given me really good housing. My master could refer to Allah, but what else does it refer to? Her husband. He uses careful language. He's saying Ma'ad Allah out loud, not just for him, but also for her. And if you're not going to fear Allah, woman, if you've gone that crazy, at least think about your husband. He's the one who gave me this house. And by the way, he's reminding the word mathwa, هذه المرة الثانية. Look at هذه الكلمة, right? So this is the second time this word is mentioned. The first time it was mentioned, remember it was said, honor his housing? Honor his housing? It is as though by bringing up the word housing, he's reminding her, lady, you're not honoring my housing. My boss actually gave me dignified housing, so this ain't part of my job description. I'm out of here. So إِنَّهُ رَبِّي أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَايَ إِنَّهُ لَا يُفْلِحُ الظَّالِمُونَ. People who do wrong, they never succeed. They may get their temptations out of the way, they may get their desires out of the way, but success they will never have. And falah is used usually in the Quran for the akhirah, for the afterlife. So he's reminding himself of the afterlife too. There is a mental process young people have to internalize, and old alike, about fighting temptation. Temptation in and of itself is not bad. It's something that will happen. It will happen. You have to learn, and I have to learn to deal with it. How are we going to deal with it? First of all, we seek the protection of Allah. Second of all, we remember that the people we have temptations towards, they also have dignified lives. Every human being deserves dignity, and it's part of our dignity to control ourselves, to hold ourselves back. And then third of all, understand that there are consequences in the akhirah. إِنَّهُ لَا يُفْلِحُ الظَّالِمُونَ. These are thoughts we have to remind ourselves of. Yusuf alayhi salam is not getting a khutbah about temptation. He has to give himself a khutbah. And in the worst place too. This is the situation where you forget everything. This is when you don't remember anything. You're like, I'll make istighfar later. You know? That's when everything goes out the window. You forget who you are. Remember? You forget who you are. Later on the guilt comes. Later on the shame comes. Later on you start sending emails. Astaghfirullah, I've made a mistake. What should I do? I get thousands of those emails. I made a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't myself. I don't know how many times I've read, I wasn't myself. You know? To make you slip from yourself. So you're not yourself anymore. What will keep you to yourself? What will maintain yourself and you don't lose yourself and become an animal and go lose it in the heat of the moment? This is the thing that's going to remind you. The dignity of the other, first of all, the refuge of Allah for yourself and them. Second of all, your own dignity and their dignity. Respect. I mean, I'll just come out and say it. Some of you guys here, you're dating. You're dating. You have a girlfriend. Maybe she's in the audience too. Oh, she just laughed. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. But maybe she's in the audience, and you know what? If that is the case, you guys have crossed certain lines. And somewhere in the back of your conscience, you feel guilty. But also at the same time, you know, nobody knows. You've got a fake profile online. You've got your phone on a password. You know, nobody's going to find out. You know, you did a few things here and there, but it's okay. You know what? You haven't feared Allah enough yet. And you haven't thought about her dignity, her family's dignity, her respect. You know, you're just thinking about your own hormones. That's all you're thinking about. So now the discussion I want to share with you here, inshallah. وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ كَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ. She absolutely wanted him, desired him. Hamma is to be important. She had made him the most important thing. It was her goal, like nothing else. I'm gonna have him. It became a matter now of possession even. And he would have been that way too. Law, the word law comes out. He would have desired her the same way had he not seen the very clear evidence of his Rabb. Now some interpret this to see that he saw an image of his father, and other things. The Quran doesn't indicate that. That tafsir exists and I respect it. But from the nas, from the text of the Quran, what seems to be the clearest indication that he saw the Burhan, the evidence of his Rabb, is something Allah put deep inside of him, the hukum, the ilm. The innahu rabbi ahsana mathwaya, what's already been described. That is the Burhan of his Rabb. And so had it not been that he had the right thought process, the right consciousness, at the heat of the moment, Allah says he would have desired her much the same. He would have reciprocated that desire, subhanAllah. كَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ. And we did all of that so we could remove him, take him away from evil and shamelessness. Now, I don't want to tell you the whole story. You guys know what the story is. I do want to highlight one more thing though. Just the thing about when they cut their hands. You know the part of the story when the women cut their hands? I'll tell you some stuff about that. So, they run after the door. She rips his shirt from behind. She's really psycho. And, that whole fiasco happens. And who found out about it? Just a couple of servants and the minister, the husband himself, right? And everybody's clear that it was her that lost it and not him. But the politician tries to suppress it and says, Yusuf, just leave it, man. Yusuf, it's okay. She just, medication. So just don't worry about it. But you know what? The servants who saw it, they have lunch break. And when they have lunch break, what are they doing? Yo, she went crazy! She was in the shit! Or something. They're having this conversation. And then the guy goes home. The security guard goes home and he talks to his wife. Yo, you know what happened at work today? Minister's wife, let me tell you, not interested in shirts. And so he says something to his wife. The next day, because he only told his wife that by the next morning, all of Egypt knew. So, everybody knows. Everybody's talking about it. It's on the tabloids. Women are talking, and what are they saying? It's so cool. The women go around and say, وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ Women in the city, some women in the city are going around talking, إِمْرَأَةُ الْعَزِيزِ, the wife of the minister, تُرَاوِدُ فَتَاهَا عَنْ نَفْسِهِ, trying to seduce her young servant? She got the hots for this young boy? Wow. Trying to make him slip. And he held his ground? قَدْ شَغَفَهَا حُبًّا. This is the part I want to talk to you about. What they said about her is they used the word shaghaf. Shaghaf actually means a cavity. Shaghaf is also used for a disease that hits you right here, like or even in the heart also. Like Lisan al-Arab argues it's over here also, down in the ribs. That's something that pains you, like an injury that you can't let go of. It's also used for the cover of a heart. Now, shaghafa, the question, but Muhassirun argue, what's the fa'il of shaghafa? And some argue it's Yusuf alayhi salam. He's covered her hubban. He's taken over her in love. He's invaded her. And shaghaf, actually, they say shaghafaha al-hubbu. That's the Lisan al-Arab argues, the original expression is shaghafaha al-hubbu, al-fa'ilu wal-hubb. But the fa'il in the ayah is actually not hub, it's him, Yusuf alayhi salam. She is so crazy about him. He's taken over her heart. That's all she ever thinks about. She's nuts. She's gone psycho. And so they start making fun of her. She wants to take revenge. She wants to show them what's up. And these are the kinds of women that talk about these things are not dignified women. If you have dignity, you also like to preserve other people's dignity. Even if you find something embarrassing out about them, you don't talk. So the fact that these women are women of low character is already clear. By the way, even in the ayah, Allah does not say وَقَالَتْ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. قَالَ نِسْوَةٌ. قَالَ is the masculine verb being used for niswatun, which is feminine. Even that rhetorically suggesting they were not acting very ladylike. They were not acting very ladylike. So they start making this talk about her, and so she calls them over. right? And she calls out Yusuf, but actually before she calls them out, what does she do? She handed them plates. You don't hand everybody a dagger at a dinner table. Let me think about it reasonably. Think about what happened. You've got a bunch of guests, and you pass out a bunch of fruits, or a bunch of barbecue meat, something, you pass it out, and then you pass out what? The knives, forks, whatever, right? So that's what she's passed out. Everybody's got their items, and they're cutting the fruit or whatever it is. Yusuf, could you come here a second? Now all these ladies know that the servant, his name is Yusuf, and he's the one that she's obsessed with, so they want to check him out for themselves. They want to see what's the big deal. So they're looking for Yusuf to come in. Yusuf comes in, and what are they doing? What were they doing? Cutting the fruit. Ow! Ow! Again! They're cutting the fruit, not paying attention, looking at him, and what do they end up doing? Cutting their hand. Oh my God, he's so handsome. You know? In hada illa malakun kareem. This is some kind of noble angel. You know, they're cutting their fruit, but they're not paying attention. So